2023 presidential election is a three-horse race between the candidates of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, All Progressives candidate Bola Tinubu, and the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar.
A lot has been said about the various presidential candidates, and I want to know what is that actually differentiates or distinguish your candidate from the other presidential candidate.
Once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to discuss with you in earnest, and also by so doing, bringing my principal's achievements to the fore. You see, a whole lot of things have been able to distinguish, His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from other candidates, who are said to be the frontliners in the forthcoming election. And these characteristics are not far-fetched. Like I said before in the previous interview, among the three leading candidates in the forthcoming election, none of them have been able to achieve quarter of what Asiwaju has been able to achieve as a governor of Lagos State. Even while not a governor, even as a civilian, as an ex-governor, as a former governor, he continues to even achieve unprecedentedly. And I will tell you why. Now, as a Lagos State governor, because for all that we care, the forthcoming election should be an election that is based on track records and achievements. Good enough, like I said before anyway, all the candidates involved in these elections have served in one capacity or the other. So the reason why we can vote or not vote for any of these candidates should be based on their track records. If you listen to most of the campaigns carrying on by the other political parties, particularly the PDP and then the Labour Party, what they have is what we call flat campaign. Campaigns in the 21st century should be issue-based. Campaigns should be based on what people have done in the past. I should not come and stand on the podium and begin to talk about vote for Obi, he's young, a man of capacity, a man of this and a man of that. What are the reference points? What makes him a man of capacity? What are his achievements? What has he done that is legendary? How has he been able to impact the life of his people, the life of ordinary Nigerians? Not just his people, but the entirety of Nigerians. How has he been able to impact in their lives positively? These are the questions that we should be throwing to the public domain. For me, none of them can stand as Asiwaju in any capacity. Whether you talk about the mental capacity, you talk about how impactful their lives and administrations were, if you talk about how enduring they are, if you talk about how Nigerian they are, none of them can measure up with him. And I will tell you why. As a governor of Lagos State, that is what stands him out. Till today, his records are unbeatable. His records are second to none. Records because he didn't just bring about development in the state. He also mentored people who were able to take over from where he stopped successfully. The likes of Fashola, who is doing exceedingly well even as a Minister of Works and Housing. You talk about the likes of Ambode, who also played his role, even though it was a short one. You talk about the likes of Samuelu now. You talk about the likes of the Vice President and so on and so forth. There are so many of them, too many to mention. Even my principal is one of his beneficiaries. Asiwaju was able to do a lot. On reaching the office in 1999, his number one agenda was to change the story. His number one agenda was to change the narrative. That was even after he fought for the renewal and return of democracy in Nigeria. How many of them have fought for national causes? None of them. Asiwaju, as a young man, fought during Nadeko for the return of democracy after Abacha truncated our democracy. He fought that fight vigorously, and he achieved his aim. And then he became the governor of Lagos State, As the governor of Lagos State, the first thing he was able to do was to revolutionize education, which is very key. Asiwaju is a detribalized Nigerian, and I will tell you why. In his course to revolutionize education in Lagos State, he did not just do that for Lagos indigents alone. He did it for every child living in Lagos. It doesn't matter, it didn't matter what section of the society you came from. It doesn't matter whether you were an Igbo person, a Hausa man, a Yoruba man, and a Doma person. It didn't really matter to him because for him it is Nigeria first. And these are the kind of leaders we should look out for. He was able to redefine and reposition education in Lagos State. And Lagos State became the center of education, just like Pa Awo did in his time. And it didn't just stop at that. Asiwaju was able to bring about proper decentralization in Lagos State. That was the point many governors were yearning for reduction of local government areas in their various states for reasons of not being able to foot the bills of these local government areas. But because being the visionary leader that he was, he knew that leadership and governance was all about the people. He knew that the number one aim and objective, the number one goal of every good leader should be how dividends of democracy could get down to the downtrodden, to the ordinary man. And of course, in his quest to do that, what he did was to create 36 extra local government areas, which he called the Local Development Council or something, areas or something like that. And he made sure that these LCDAs were properly funded, like every other local government in Nigeria. And that attracted a lot of envy and jealousy from the then president of Nigeria, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, who now deprived him of his constitutional rights, who now deprived Lagos State of their constitutional rights, their belonging, their funds, their subvention. But guess what? That didn't stop the giant from doing what he was supposed to do. Even when the federal government refused to give them what belonged to them rightfully, he was still able to carry on his states. And his state still ranked among the first two fastest growing states, even at that time. Everything worked. Security was intact. Children were in school. There were hardly incidences of strike. In fact, he actually, as a matter of fact, strengthened all democratic institutions. Yeah. And that led to the...
Sorry to interrupt.